Is WWE oversaturated? It's this week's Swerve Me Wrong segment on the Squared Circle Psychobabble. If you're new to the Squared Circle Psychobabble Swerve Me Wrong segment, here's how it works. I have 10 minutes to convince Ralph here that the popular opinion in the IWC is wrong. And this week, Ralph is saying that WWE is oversaturated. I am saying that it is not oversaturated. So Frank, our PA, has 10 minutes on the clock, and that 10 minutes starts now. So, Ralph, I'll let you start. Why is WWE oversaturated?
So my position and my belief is that WWE is extremely oversaturated. The reason I say that is there's just far too much content that they're putting out. And you look at the lay of the land, you look at the shows they're currently producing. You've got Raw on Monday night, which is 3 hours. You got SmackDown, which is 2 hours. Wednesday, you've got an hour worth of NXT as well as an hour worth of 205 Live. You've got the WWE Network with a plethora of just everything in between that you want to watch, the past, the present. You also have pay-per-views. Now, not only are those pay-per-views longer, they're now all, I believe they're all 4 hours, but you've got a pre-show, you've got a pre-show match, and then you've got the card itself, and then you just mentioned earlier, you have the Mixed Match Challenge. All of that in consideration just tells you right then and there that there's just far too much content out there for people to keep track of. The reason I say that is the decrease in the ratings, which is evident when you compare it to years prior. But not only that, when you look at other industries, you look at MMA, you look at the UFC, they used to have one pay-per-view every month. Now they have the pay-per-view and they have UFC Fight Pass and they have UFC on Fox Sports 1 and UFC on this and that. And same thing, oversaturation, ratings, pay-per-view buys, all of that goes down. The NFL, very similar. Used to have all the games on Sunday. Now you've got a Monday night game. You've got a Thursday night game. What happened to the ratings? Ratings have gone down. You have to find the happy medium, and you have to be able to produce good content on a consistent basis. And I think WWE, with all of its shows, has spread itself far too thin. And I think it shows in not only in the ratings, but in the product they're actually presenting to their viewers.
Okay, well, let's think about this for a second. When did the wrestling industry peak in its ratings?
The Attitude Era.
The Attitude
Everybody
Era.
knows that.
Okay, so during the Attitude Era, you could watch wrestling almost every single day of the week. I think the only day wrestling was not on TV was Wednesday night. So, or actually it might have been Tuesday, because you had Raw on Monday, WCW Thunder was on Wednesday, then you had SmackDown Thursday, ECW Friday, Shotgun Saturday Night Saturday, Sunday Night Heat, and a pay-per-view Sunday. So that's 6 out of the 7 days of the week that was wrestling.
But we're talking WWE, not the wrestling industry.
Okay, so let's keep it at WWE then. So you have Raw on Monday, SmackDown on Tuesday, all your other things on the network Wednesday, and then the pay-per-view Sunday. Let me ask you something. Do you, as a wrestling fan, fully commit all that time and energy to those shows?
Not all of them.
Not all of them. Okay. So, when it comes to saturation, you yourself have to let it be saturated. You choose to watch Raw all 3 hours. You choose to watch SmackDown for 2 hours. You choose to watch the Mae Young Classic, the Mixed Match Challenge, NXT, TakeOver. You choose to watch all that. You choose to let the product be saturated, where the ratings, let's talk about the ratings. Now, the ratings are affected in a lot of things. One, there's a lot more things on television outside of wrestling. You're talking in 1999, at most, someone had 50 channels. Now people have 200 channels, and people have other things that they're watching. The other thing, too, is the invention of the DVR. People can record Raw, watch Raw, and fast forward through all the stuff they don't want to watch. And you also have a brand split. So if your favorite wrestler is AJ Styles, and you want to watch wrestling just for AJ Styles, you don't need to watch Raw. He's not going to be there.
Right.
Same goes for Roman Reigns. If you're a Roman Reigns fan, no need to watch SmackDown. He's not going to be there. You know, you can watch the pay-per-views. Say, and this has happened. I'm a Giants fan. So there are nights where the Giants are playing Sunday Night Football, and there's a pay-per-view on the same night. It actually just happened, Hell in the Cell. Mm-hmm. So either A, you watch both. You have one device on the football game, one device on the network.
Right.
B, you go, okay, I don't care for this match. I'll switch over to the football game. And vice versa. You know, the Giants are getting their ass kicked. I'll move over to the network. That doesn't mean it's an oversaturated product.
So
it's more that there's more options and people saying, oh, because I have more accessibility to the WWE product, it means I'm oversaturated because I let it happen to me.
So the reason I say it's oversaturated, one, like I mentioned already, was the ratings. The ratings, you can't even debate that. The ratings certainly have gone down in comparison to where they were, right?
Right.
And could we at least agree in the fact that the product that WWE is currently producing now, today, this week, last week, is not as good as it once was during the Attitude Era, or even going back, I don't know, maybe 10 years.
But we're not arguing quality. We're arguing quantity.
But one of my main points is this. If you're spread so thin where you can't focus on producing good, compelling content on a weekly basis, then that just goes to show you your oversaturation is hurting your product. Because if they're not able to get people over...
But is it hurting their product because they have their biggest revenue, probably in the history of the company? They just made an agreement with Fox for over $1 billion deal to have SmackDown, not even Raw, SmackDown on Fox. And it's not just going to be SmackDown. They're going to have other shows on Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2. They're talking about putting NXT there. So are we saying that even more saturation is going to happen when WWE comes to Fox then? No, I don't think so.
On me personally, I would rather see two shows a week, whether it be Raw and SmackDown and Raw, whatever, that were really well produced. I think NXT is so successful and people get excited for those shows. One, because they don't have one every month. They don't have a pay-per-view every month. The takeovers aren't every month. So they're better. And two, there's only an hour. So you're responsible for filling that hour with a really good, compelling show, and for the most part, they deliver.
But NXT, the NXT show, with the exception of maybe the main event, a lot of that is kind of like how Raw used to be in the early 90s.
Good.
A lot of it, no, I'm talking about when it first started.
Yeah.
It was a lot of squash matches, a lot of throwaways, nothing of real substance. You know, it's just more to get a character over rather than build a storyline, whereas, except for maybe the main event.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can go not watch any NXT,
right,
and then wait for TakeOver, watch all the promos, and go, okay, I'm sold. I don't watch NXT regularly, but I know what Johnny Gargano's doing. I know what Tommaso Ciampa's doing. I know what Aleister Black's doing. I don't need to watch. And the stuff that if I want to watch it, I'm subscribed to the network, or let's not forget this, folks. WWE is the 8th most subscribed channel on YouTube.
And I'm not saying it's not incredibly successful. Going back to what you just said, so would you rather a product where, look at Monday Night Raw. If you didn't watch Raw for 2 months, right, would you be confident that you could turn on a pay-per-view and watch it and say, I know where Braun Strowman's going to be doing, I know what Roman Reigns is going to be doing, or would you be a little bit lost?
I think for the most part, you would know what's going on.
You just said that for NXT, you don't have to watch it.
Yeah,
you know what's going on.
I don't think you have to watch Raw on a weekly basis either.
Would you be confident that NXT TakeOver would produce a good show and leave the fans happy?
Yes.
Could you say the same for the guys that are on Raw?
I think so.
You think that every time that they have a pay-per-view for Raw or SmackDown, that the crowd leaves happy?
Well, you're depending on who you are talking about. If you're talking about the 4 family and not the one diehard, then I think the family will go into that show and enjoy it.
It's got nothing to do with diehards or
kids.
Yes,
it does. It does.
Come on, let's be honest here. Hell in a Cell, the main event was crap. It was garbage.
It wasn't garbage.
It was absolutely the match itself.
It wasn't a 5-star match, but it was
the match between Strowman and Roman was forgettable at best. The only thing that was good about that was the involvement of Brock Lesnar. The Shield coming out, all of that was just smoke and mirrors to disguise what was a crappy match. Everybody would probably, a good majority of people would just say, would probably admit that. And the only thing that a kid would take away from that is they would say, oh, well, somebody went through a table, so that was really cool. It's silly. But getting back to the original point, this is my last point that I'll make to you.
Yeah, we got about 15 seconds. So.
Okay. What was your favorite, what do you consider the best pay-per-view of the year thus far?
SummerSlam. For WWE, SummerSlam.
Okay, and outside of WWE?
Outside of WWE, either All In or Dominion.
And do you think the fact that All In was so successful is because there was less saturation, the fans actually got a chance to get excited for something and buy into it? Simple supply and demand.
Yeah, but I honestly think if it wasn't for the last 3 matches, I do not think it compares.
But they delivered.
The last 3 matches really saved that show.
But it delivered. That's the main point. Whereas WWE, a lot of times going into these pay-per-view, they're kind of limping along, limping into the pay-per-view, and limping themselves out of the pay-per-view to the next.
The difference is WWE books from pay-per-view to pay-per-view. They're going from path to path to path to path. All In was, as the show was called, All In. It was all there. Take it or leave it.
And would you rather want a couple of big shows or maybe one pay-per-view a month with a couple of shows leading into it that are really good, or all these other shows on WWE Network and Raw and SmackDown and everything else, and then a subpar pay-per-view?
If there's a match there that I care about, I'll watch it. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to watch it. You don't have to watch it. So you choose whether to be oversaturated by the product or not. But that's going to do it here for the Squared Circle Psychobabble. My name is Michael Valenti. This is Ralph Valenti. Make sure you follow us all over social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at SCPB Podcast. Make sure you use the hashtag to join our conversations at SCPB Podcast. For John Cena, for Ralph Valenti, my name is Michael Valenti saying so long from the Squared Circle Psychobabble. Watch the video on the screen now to see what we think. And of course, click that logo to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and follow us all over social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at SCPB Podcast.